Welcome back everyone, Oz here, and today I've got some more r/AmITheDevil. This one is quickly becoming one of my favorites, and as per usual, I'll narrate the post and give you my opinions, and of course I encourage all of you to give yours in the comments down below. Also, don't forget that this whole channel is kind of brought to you by GamerSupps. Go use code Oz at checkout if you drink GamerSupps. Every purchase made directly supports the channel. Am I the asshole for leaving my infant child home alone while she was asleep? Please read the whole thing. General statements of judgment without any intelligent feedback are entirely unhelpful. I am legitimately looking for flaws in my thinking. Context. I feel like this is going to hurt a lot. I live in a very small town, the type of place with 8 roads where people drive golf carts to get around, and it's not surprising to see 6-year-olds riding the streets on their 4-wheelers or dirt bikes. My daughter is 6 months old and a very consistent sleeper. After she falls asleep, she doesn't wake up. After she falls asleep, she just doesn't wake up in general. She's been sleeping for so long. It's a fucked up joke. I'm sorry. I usually cut bloopers out, but that one was fun. After she falls asleep, she doesn't wake up to eat until 4 to 5. She sleeps with only a pacifier, no blankets or toys in the crib with her. I have a network PTZ camera above her crib. The camera is set up to send a push notification to my and my spouse's phones if any movement is detected, and it is very sensitive. Both my internet connection and my wireless reception are very reliable. I love my children very much. My spouse and I work hard to ensure we are meeting our kids' needs, physically, mentally, and emotionally. We don't use phones, tablets, or a TV to babysit our kids, so we can do stuff around them but not with them. The event. I had a small get-together with some friends in town. It's 6 blocks from my house. Feels like 3, but it is 6. Before leaving, I double-checked the monitor and made sure my daughter was asleep. I took my golf cart to the get-together. I knew I would be down there for 2 to 3 hours before my spouse would get home. My spouse and I were on the same page with this decision. I had a friend that got very upset with me about this decision, and some of the things that they said about me have pissed me off and rubbed me the wrong way. Am I the asshole for leaving my daughter at home in this specific situation? Okay, hold on, wait, before you get mad, things for consideration. The biggest indictment of my decision is, what if something happens? Well, I thought about that, and I believe that to be a boogeyman question. I prefer to consider much more specific questions and risks. What happens if she stops breathing? I sleep 8 hours a night. There are so many times when I am under the same roof as her, and if she were to randomly stop breathing, I wouldn't know it for hours, and being home would benefit me 0. That's your response, is literally a fucking shrug emoji? Hey, what if your daughter stops breathing? So be it! What can I really do? Dude, really? What happens if someone were to come in the home and take her? A, small town where everyone knows everyone. Again, the type of town where young elementary kids are permitted to walk to the town park and play without adult supervision. B, the same thing could happen with some of our younger babysitters. What if she starts crying? She's safe in her crib. If she starts crying, I hop on my golf cart and run home quickly. What if you get hurt or have a medical emergency and can't return home? What if I have a heart attack in my own home? The emergency argument is just as likely while I'm home alone as when I'm out with others. And what if there's a fire? I primarily trust the odds on this one, especially considering time away and distance from home. This is the kind of guy to leave their kid in a hot car during the summer because it's only going to be 5 minutes at the gas station. This guy isn't looking for people to describe why his logic or reasoning is incorrect or looking for legitimate flaws in his thinking. He just wants validation for his decision. Buddy, you can have all the cameras in the world, but when something bad happens, the camera's not going to do shit. Instead, you're just going to miserably watch from the event as something bad actually happens, and maybe the golf cart won't make it there in time. Much like a seatbelt, it only takes it happening once for everything to be over. Words cannot describe how genuinely revolted I am with your logic. All it takes is an appliance not being up to code, or something being plugged in and having a bit of a fuck up with the wiring, and the house goes in flames, and you would spend the rest of your life with that guilt. Do you really trust your golf cart to make it faster to your infant's room than the fire? This was posted to r/legal advice, and you're not prepared for what's about to happen. Can I legally send AI-generated images of myself with other women to my ex-wife? Oh my god. For context, I'm a 47-year-old divorced man, and I've been divorced for 2 years. Currently, we only contact each other regarding our son, but I've noticed she's been public on her Facebook about her new partner, and I started generating AI images of me with attractive women. Obviously, I edited my face onto them, and started sending them to her on WhatsApp. I started 2 days ago with 2 images, and recently started sending more of them, and she told me to stop. Can she legally prohibit me from doing this? What is wrong with you? I would say see a therapist, but I don't think they can help you out of this one, bud. What are you doing? My ex-wife is happy with someone else. Ha! Let's see how happy she is seeing me fucking this celebrity. Yeah, that'll show her. Just don't count her fingers. Like, legalities and unsolicited nudes aside, which I'm pretty sure she can get you for harassment, why would you want to do this? Why are you seeking out legal advice for you to continue doing this? What a... Dude, I don't even know. There is like a little part of me that is morbidly curious to know what his train of thought was to lead him to not only this decision, but then to turn around and go to r/legal and post this prompt as a, hey, can I do this? Is there anything she could do to stop me from doing this? I have so many unanswered questions. My 25 male, sister 27 female, son is sick and I told her it wasn't my problem, and now everyone is mad at me. What should I do? My 25 male, sister 27 female, has a 12-year-old son. My stupid-ass sister got pregnant when she was 15. When she had the baby, my parents asked me if I could help her out, and I was honest and said no. Her kid isn't my problem, and I don't care if she's my sister. I didn't tell her to get knocked up. My sister had to drop out of high school and get a job. She didn't go to college. So now she lives with our parents and is a single mother. I, on the other hand, graduated high school with honors, went to a top-tier university, and now have a good job and live in a house. My girlfriend, 31 female, is a police officer. My sister's son has cancer, and she doesn't have a lot of money for treatment and doesn't have good insurance. My parents are financially struggling to take care of her and her son. The father abandoned him. My sister asked me for financial help, and I straight up told her no, because it isn't my problem. Now, my parents and some of my friends are mad at me. It's not my fault my sister is a 27-year-old single mother. Her problems aren't my problems, and I'm not required to help her. What should I do? A lot of people are mad at me. Gee, I wonder why. You're not required to help your sister out financially. Like, you are, of course, not required to do so. The problem here is the low empathy response you gave, the fact that your fucking nephew is dying of cancer, and you're just like, nah, it's not my problem. Not my fault you got knocked up. People are mad because you obviously don't give a shit, my dude. And like, you made it very clear in this post that you don't give a shit about this kid. Like, this is a child. He was brought into this world, and he has fucking cancer, and you still found a way to give yourself a hand job in this post and fucking talk about the fact that you graduated with honors and went to a top-tier university and your girlfriend's a cop. There's an obvious joke here that's not my responsibility to make. That's for you guys in the comments. Anyways, people are mad at you because you're being an asshole and you're just waving off the entire life of a child, your parents' grandchild, because, meh, don't really feel like it. You're not required to financially support them, but there is an expectation that you give your sister just a little bit of empathy, my man. Am I the asshole for my actions towards my boyfriend for signing to someone instead of letting me translate? My 21 female boyfriend, 21 male, is deaf. Before we started dating, I could kinda sign, but since we started dating, I've been trying to get better. I occasionally make mistakes, he says, but he says he completely understands me and I translate for him 99% of the time. We both got caught up with finals and other things, and I haven't been able to go on a date for a while. So I haven't been able to translate for him or be helpful for a while. Recently, we went to a movie theater. We were signing as we went up to the counter to order food, and we went to the employee and he started signing to us. I immediately spoke and said I am hearing he's deaf. He apologized both in English and ASL. Everything else the employee said, he did in both languages. He said, "Oh, I'm very sorry. I saw the two of you signing and assumed you were both deaf. Did he/do you want to order?" referring to my boyfriend. "Or will she order?" He signed that he would order and told him what he wanted. I then told him what I wanted, and after the movie, I was a little angry and asked him why he ordered. He signed that if the employee knew ASL, he could just order and it would be easier. I signed, but I was there and I could help. I signed that I was practicing ASL for him and that he should let me use it. He signed that he was not incompetent and that if he can directly talk to the employee, why not? I signed that it would be nice to let me help. He signed that he only wants help when he needs it. If it's not needed, I'm just being condescending and rude. We didn't sign the rest of the ride and we've been talking less. Starting to worry I overstepped and was rude. Am I the asshole? Okay, so there's a weird form of ableism here that I can't properly identify, but like I can feel it in my gut. Like it's like a savior complex mixed in with just the desire/feeling of power of being someone's sole form of communication to the outside world. I don't know. I really try not to throw the word ableism around because a lot of people, it's an accident. Usually they're not around disabled people and they don't have the proper social skills to deal with that, and usually it's entirely accidental. But this one feels malicious. Like there's something wrong about it that I can't like properly wrap my words around it. Like I'm positive someone in the comments will be able to explain this better than I am. But as someone who is not deaf nor understands ASL, I feel like the boyfriend probably would have been fucking over the moon and delighted to be able to actually speak with someone who understood him and be able to actually be a functioning human part of society without feeling like he has to rely on his girlfriend for a crutch. And the one moment that he was able to actually do this, she wanted to take that away because she enjoys being that controlling aspect, to the point where she felt offended that he wanted to actually speak to someone. There's something like wrong about this that I'm still trying to like wrap my brain around. And I'm sure that after this video uploads, it'll snap in my brain. I'll go, "Oh, it's this." Am I the asshole? I asked my sister to make me a hand-knitted blanket, and it is ugly. About a month ago, I asked my sister to make me a hand-knitted blanket. I always wanted one just to have to go in the back of the sofa or on my bed. So she said she'd love to make one. So after a while, the blanket was complete. Her and the elderly lady she works for made this blanket, and the colors were going to be a surprise to me. I literally had showed my sister a picture on the internet of colors that I wanted to see in the blanket. So the day finally comes where I get to open the box that she had wrapped, and it was supposed to be a surprise. So I opened it. And my first reaction was that I loved it. It was super soft and it was extremely heavy because the blanket is 10 foot 7 inches long by 5 feet wide. But it's extremely ugly. It's got dark hunter green fabric and yellow, red, white, and green threads. She told me that her little old lady picked up the colors from Hobby Lobby, which my sister knows I fucking hate when she supports these homophobic companies. After seeing how big the blanket was, I told her I could probably sell it for $250. It's so huge I didn't know what to do with it. So she said, "Yeah, go ahead and sell it if you want." So I posted on Facebook Marketplace. For 2 weeks, not a single person messaged me to buy this blanket. I marked it down to $100 for 1 week, and not a single person messaged me to buy this blanket. It is ugly, and I am not exaggerating. I will attach a picture in the comment section below. So I told my sister the other day not a single person has messaged me to buy this blanket off of Facebook, and so I was going to pack it up and mail it off to my cousin. My sister suggested that I should just throw it away. And I said, "What, are you crazy?" And because my cousin lives in Louisiana, she went off and she said she literally lives in the hottest fucking place. Why would she need a blanket? And I said, "Did you not see the comment she posted on Facebook when I posted the blanket?" She said, "Well, I'm glad you have one made for you. And since I'm not going to use it, I thought I would just pass it along to somebody who would use it." So am I the asshole? Okay, so here's the blanket. It's not as bad as I was expecting it to be, and I know for a fact that this is some people's like preferred style. It's not personally mine. I think the colors clash a lot, but some people really like this. The thing is, dude, You missed every single one of your sisters. Like, yeah, man, it's your gift. You do what you want with it. She gives you the present and your first response is, yeah, someone could buy this off of Facebook Marketplace for $250. Then later you pawn it off to a cousin. Your sister's probably heartbroken because she put a lot of effort into this blanket and you turned around and did this shit. Yeah, you're the asshole in this situation. Also, secondary note, in what world is that dark hunter green? That's more of like a dark teal, if anything. Am I the asshole for calling my wife passive-aggressive after she, 35 female, had a medical emergency and called my friend instead of me, 38 male? My wife and I have been married for almost 14 years. In 2019, I decided to open up a small business. During COVID, I faced a lot of financial difficulties, since I had sunk our savings and my parents' investment into the business, and I couldn't let it fail. I worked 80-hour weeks and never took a day off. It was very rough, but worth it. As a result, my wife and I have a good standard of living, but I still have to work crazy hours to maintain it. Back to the question. My wife was at work when she suddenly felt very dizzy and collapsed. Coworkers took her to urgent care where they determined it was probably stress-related and not a real health issue. Ooh, I don't know about that one, bud. When she was there, she asked them to call my friend Steve. He's a great guy, and he popped over to make sure she was all right and drove her home. When I came later that day, she said she had a small medical emergency and she called Steve. I asked her why she called Steve, and she said it's because he would immediately come to help her. I felt like she was being passive-aggressive about it and called Steve as a lesson. I called her out for it and she stormed off in a huff. Her friends have been texting me and calling me an asshole. Am I the asshole? Edit, I would have helped in a medical emergency if she had called me. Alright, I'm gonna level with you here, man, because you're definitely in the wrong here. First of all, stress-related stuff. Stress is a silent killer. Second of all, she didn't call Steve to teach you a lesson. She called Steve because Steve was a reliable option. You were not. She knows you're busy, and she is under the impression that she can't count on you in an emergency. This is a moment where you gotta look inward, my dude, and realize that your wife is more comfortable calling someone else because they're more reliable than you are. Yes, you work hard. You do a lot for your family. However, that work has strained your relationship to a point where your wife, in a medical emergency, knows that she has more safety calling someone else instead of you. I know that probably hurts your ego a fucking lot, and I understand where the insecurity is coming from, but you gotta realize that it's not because your wife is trying to make you jealous or being passive-aggressive. She felt that she would be safer calling Steve than calling you. Yes, that sucks, but the fact is, you gotta take this as a lesson, man. And I don't mean that in the sense as your wife is trying to teach you a lesson. I'm trying to tell you that your wife is relying on other people because she sees you as being unreliable in terms of emergency. That's not good, man. Would I be the asshole if I don't go to my daughter's wedding? My daughter is getting married next month, and I feel like my hands are tied. I have 2 kids, my son, 32 male, and my daughter, 28 female. My son got married 2 years ago and is now expecting his first child, our first grandchild. Shortly after he got married, my daughter got engaged. We're thrilled that both of our children are all grown up and found fabulous partners. My daughter-in-law is pregnant, and it's been a difficult pregnancy throughout. She is now in bed rest until the baby is born, and I've had to help a lot to take care of her and be there in case something happens. Her parents live 6 hours away and are not very involved parents. My daughter already knew, leading up to the wedding, that my son and daughter-in-law won't be able to make it to the wedding, and while disappointed, is understanding of it. She and her brother were never close to begin with. I told her this past week that I don't think I'll be attending either, as her wedding is so close to the due date, and in daughter-in-law's condition, there's no way of knowing when the baby will actually come. I told her this, and she flipped out, accusing me of playing favorites. My daughter feels like I've always put my son before her, and that's simply not true. My daughter holds a lot of resentment because I helped my son and daughter-in-law buy their house, but not her. But the thing is, my daughter didn't ask for help and didn't even tell me she was buying until a few days before she and her fiance closed. My son asked for help and we were able to make it happen. I didn't think she would buy so soon and assumed I had a few more years before I would help her. so I gave my son all I could. She told me that the reason she didn't tell me is because I told her I pulled for my retirement early to help my son and didn't want to put me in the same spot. She feels like I bailed my son out and rewarded him for not saving up for a house like she did. We also contributed $20,000 to their wedding, but none to my daughters because they were able to pay for it themselves. Their wedding is much smaller, 80 versus 200. And in her fiance's sister-in-law's backyard. The wedding is out of state, so I can't just leave if something were to happen. In comparison, we paid for her college at a private university while my son opted for a public school. I'd say financially, it's pretty equal how much we've helped them each. She feels like son and daughter-in-law will be fine for a weekend and we'll figure it out. But being an OBGYN nurse, I feel more comfortable being close to them until the baby is here. My husband is still going and warned me that my daughter may have had enough of feeling like she's not a priority when it comes to my son. Would I be the asshole? Too long didn't read. I might miss my daughter's wedding because of my daughter-in-law's high-risk pregnancy and it's causing a lot of friction. To me, this just feels like she's trying to find an excuse not to go to her own daughter's wedding. The money thing is definitely valid because if you gave $20,000 for 200 people, then you could have given $8,000 for 80 people. That just kind of adds up in my head, and I think that would have probably shown your daughter that you actually love her, but instead she has to ask herself questions every day of, how come my brother gets favoritism? Is it because they're bearing a grandchildren before me? I am 4 years younger, and now my mother is missing my wedding because of, I don't know, an atypical pregnancy? Worst case scenario, just fly back that night. We're in the 21st century. We have cell phones. If she goes into labor, congratulations, your son can text you and you can scurry down to the airport, fly back, and be there. Because how shitty are you gonna feel when nothing actually happens with the pregnancy and you skipped your daughter's wedding for nothing? It's not like you're leaving your daughter-in-law alone. She has your son to look after her. Seriously, it's like you're just trying to find an excuse. Your husband's making it. Why aren't you? And yeah, I'm gonna side with the daughter on this one here. To me, it sounds like that you're actually rewarding your son's bad financial habits. Couldn't afford a 200-person wedding? May as well bail him out. Needs help with his first house? May as well bail him out by dipping into my retirement. But when it comes to your daughter, yeah, the private school thing is nice for college tuition, depends on the state because public and private can be very similar or very different. That'd be a very key fact to learn here. But at the same time, since college, which would have been anywhere from 4 to 6 years ago, your daughter has been making very smart financial decisions to the point where they could afford their own house as well as afford their own 80-person wedding. Like, this is such a, yeah, no, you're the asshole in this scenario, that I almost actually wonder if this is just rage bait. And I really hope it is. My fiance broke up with me and my family and everyone else sided with her. It does hurt. I'm in shock. My fiance broke up with me and my family and even my friends are on her side. They are siding against me over this. I don't know if I should be upset or what. I don't know what to feel, but I do know I'm in shock. Her and I were together for almost 2 years. Her, 29 female, and me, male 30. We got engaged 7 months ago and we lived together for 5 months. In August, we were going to move into a bigger place together. We were planning the wedding. Everything was fine. She broke up with me while we were talking about our rent and budget for our new flat. She ended up bursting into tears and yelling at me. She said I am incapable of taking anything seriously. She just flipped out and was yelling and crying and nothing I said would calm her down. She said she was an idiot for thinking I would change. She went to stay with her mom for almost 2 weeks and then she came and took her belongings and returned her key to our landlord. She refused to talk to me. I thought she would after she calmed down. I had to scramble to find a place to live before the end of next month. She was always a serious person. I thought we balanced out well, but she said it's impossible to do anything with me. When my family and my mates found out about our breakup, they all said they agreed with her. Some of them even tried to act supportive to me and say sorry and all that, but ultimately, they all agreed with her that I am not serious enough, and they understand why she couldn't take it. She's a surgery nurse, and it's the kind of job where she has to keep a cool head, so her crying and going off like that shocked me. I have an older brother and a younger brother, and one of them called me a clown while the other said he is surprised my fiance lasted as long as we did. My own mom and dad said she was right. My dad says I should grow up. I don't know what hurts more. her leaving me, or everyone, even my family, agreeing with her. It's been almost 2 weeks. Maybe it will be different here. I feel like we're missing a lot of information on this. There are large swaths of information just missing that would give a lot of context and possibly make us understand more of why everyone is literally siding against him, but instead we get vague recollections of what actually happened. In my opinion, it sounds like he's trying to hide something and rewrite and retell his version of events. Because all we know is you had a fight with your girlfriend. You gave us no details of what happened on that fight besides she was emotional and upset, and I tried to say things to her to cheer her up, but that didn't work. Followed by then everyone turning against you and calling you a clown. What did you say to her, dude? Hell, what did you do? I hate to even imagine that you post this on Reddit as a, I'll show them. Because that's what this comes off as. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.